Hello everyone and welcome to Rad Chat Live at UKIO. My name's Naman Hansen. I'm joined by fellow host
Joe McNamara.
We don't fit in the screen if you're watching. But we've got three guests here. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
My name's Poppy. I'm a therapeutic radiographer from Beacon Centre in Taunton.
I'm Eleanor Barker. I'm the specialist therapeutic radiographer in research and development at Somerset Foundation Trust.
Jordan Stanton, consultant head and neck radiographer at Somerset NHS Foundation Trust.
So tell us what you're doing here at UKIO.
So we're here today to present some of our work on open face masks and utilising the Align-RT SGRT system and the patient benefit.
And Elle's just done a wonderful paper as well on cardiac toxicity for radiotherapy.
What have you got out of it, Poppy?
This is my first conference, so I'm just taking it all in.
Brilliant. You get the stress-free element. You're like, I'm just going to go and have a coffee, whilst everyone's like, oh my gosh,
Yes.
the talk's coming up. So tell us a little bit more about your research. What were the kind of findings? What did you present here at UKIO?
So I was presenting my study about radiation-induced cardiac disease identification practices across the radiotherapy departments. The main results from the findings is that the management is quite limited. It's often limited to anatomical location of tumour, and it was related to what was written on the RCR consent forms, and it's the acknowledgement of the risk of late effect of cardiac toxicity on those. Most departments focused on dose reduction and very limited other holistic assessments or any other treatment patient-related factors in the identification of risk. There was a very disparate identification of risk across the country. Everyone's doing something completely different, and there was a lot of reliance on oncologists to be expected to do all the work for them. Most of the time these patients were identified during consent procedures and then limited other involvement of any other healthcare professionals across the pathway and radiotherapy.
I suppose that's the issue, isn't it, of us not having a nice seamless pathway working with other healthcare professionals.
There was a very limited involvement of a multidisciplinary team.
And the open face mask stuff, what did you find?
So we introduced it back towards the end of 2025. We found that from a patient perspective, we used the radiotherapy experience questionnaire, because it was the most relevant and validated one. We found a significant increase in patients strongly agreeing that they felt calm, they felt relaxed, they felt safe and comfortable. From a CBCT data perspective, we've seen considerable improvements in our shoulder position. As we probably all experienced, is that once the head and shoulder mask is on, it's very hard to know where the shoulders are, get it in the right position. But actually we've seen a massive benefit. We only use a head-only open face mask, and we utilise a thermoplastic kind of cushion for the neck and the shoulders. So it's got a bit of a tactile response for the patient, a bit of support, but actually we can really utilise that Align-RT postural we do for shoulder positioning, which is, if anyone wants to come around to the radiotherapy hub a little bit later where I'm talking, that's where we kind of show, you'll see considerable differences. So it's been really good and statistically significant in certain kind of displacement directions.
Obviously, I know from a radiotherapy kind of dosimetry perspective, that sounds brilliant. But what about from a patient experience perspective? You know, as a radiographer treating these patients, what have you observed?
I think the kind of the setup process that we have, or what we used to have before, was the patient would lie on the bed. You'd kind of not guess, but you'd have an educated guess really of where the patient is positioned with their neck, and then you bring the mask on and I probably learned the hard way in my career as a radiographer, bringing that mask over. If the neck isn't in the right position, the face isn't in the right position, you can really kind of, if they're anxious, or even if they weren't anxious, you can really give them a poor experience. You're trying to shuffle in the mask, you're trying to get the clips down, it's just not that great. So the Align RT system allows us to use an ROI on the face, get the head in the exact position the CT. So in theory, we can bring that mask on and there shouldn't be any shuffling, the pressure should be nice and evenly distributed how it was at CT. That's kind of what we're seeing. So from an experience perspective, patients are really finding it much more beneficial. We've had a few quotes from patients that have said that I've seen the old style masks, I wouldn't have had treatment if you still had that mask, and although I'm still anxious about this mask, this is considerably better for me, and I've got through treatment, and I've had the treatment I need.
So it's also the recognition of that we're avoiding having to put permanent tattoos on the patients as well.
I definitely would say from our Rad Chat experience, just with engaging with patients on social media, a lot of the head and neck cancer patients that contact us, especially when we're putting out social media about radiotherapy, they say that's been really triggering to see the mask being fitted again. And I think that just goes to show, doesn't it, how much our patients are affected by this experience. And as therapeutic radiographers, we don't always see that. Like, we're really privileged at Rad Chat that we get to kind of see the impact of our treatments, but that's not something that patients are necessarily going to come back going, just to let you know, that has affected me psychologically for life.
Yeah, and I think completely agree as a treatment rad. It's almost once patients have finished that long course of treatment, that's it. You might bump into them in the corridor when they've come for follow-ups or other appointments, but you don't see that in my role, seeing patients that are 1 year post, 2 years post, 5 years. You do still get some of those comments about the mask and stuff, so you can really see that impact, that it still really sticks with patients. And the one thing with the head-only mask is that actually takes half the time to make for patients as well. So it's a 5-minute process rather than a 10-minute. So again, you're trying to minimise that time for patients in the mask. So much better, really. So.
What's the environmental impact of open face masks versus the big ones?
That's a very good question.
This might be a question that comes up.
No, I think that's a very good question. I suppose in essence there's less material from a waste perspective. Cost, we'll probably have to speak to our mould room colleagues about the exact cost in that sense. But I think there's less mask product there, so I think that just from my perspective. But I'll go away, do some research before the talk and figure it all out.
I'm going to come and ask that question.
No, that's fine. Don't worry. I'll appreciate that. Let's do it.
Poppy, what's been your experience of UKIO?
It's been really good so far. So much around radiotherapy here. It's been so nice to kind of see. I think my experience of radiotherapy in general, I don't really know many here.
Yeah.
So it's been quite nice to kind of get different perspectives from everyone from different centres. So it's been really good.
And are you going to judge their performances in their presentations and say which one was best?
No, I wouldn't.
We would.
Yeah.
I just really want a laser pointer, just a pointing thing. That's all I want. I'm happy with that.
The clicker in there doesn't work very well. Oh, it's
Brilliant.
No, it doesn't, I guess.
That's fine. We'll figure it out.
Well, thank you for joining us here on the Rad Chat sofa.
Yeah, thank you.